The San Antonio Spurs 2022 draft class may just end up being one of their best ever, Spurs fans.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement.
What is up, San Antonio Spurs fans? Welcome to TSR Sports. As Malachi Branham had been going off recently in the last couple of games, I was thinking, man, this 2022 draft class, they're really coming along. And lo and behold, I take a look this weekend. What do I see? Pounding the Rock does an article about how this draft class may be one of their best. We're going to talk about that a little bit, talk about what they have to say. Drop a comment down below. What are you thinking about this 2022 draft class as we're about midway through the season, approaching the All-Star break? Hit that thumbs up if you like the video, and subscribe for more Spurs content. Let's get into this. Spurs fans. Anyway, in case you don't remember, Jeremy Sohan was drafted 9th overall, and he filled that really big hole we had at power forward. Doug McDermott was starting last year, and while I like Doug, that's not optimal for the San Antonio Spurs. Anyway, he has shown from the start of the year to, unfortunately, to his recent injury, just an amazing amount of improvement on offense. And he has been a lot of fun to watch. You see him here in the thumbnail for that video, shooting the one-handed free throw. His free throw percentage has gone up so much since he started doing that. He looks confident out there, running the point. I've already done a video on how much he's improved, but his ceiling, I don't know what the ceiling is, but I think this is our power forward for the next decade plus. His ceiling is just much higher than I ever thought it was, and his work ethic seems on point. I really am really happy with this 9th overall pick. If I was regrading it, it's easily an A right now if he keeps on the trajectory that he is. But we have two other players we drafted. Malachi Branham was selected 20th overall with the pick that was acquired from the Toronto Raptors when we traded away Thaddeus Young. And then Blake Wesley was grabbed with the 25th pick, which was acquired from the Celtics when we traded away Derek White. So, Blake Wesley. If you guys don't remember, he was really impressing us in the Summer League and the preseason, started showing us in a small sample size in the regular season, and what he can do. And then he got hurt and missed months and numerous games, and just recently came back and is starting to get his rhythm back. So he's the question mark out of these three players since he really hasn't played. Is he our starting point guard of the future? That could heavily depend on what happens in this year's draft. If the Spurs were to draft Scoot Henderson, you got to think he's the starting point guard right away. We'll see on that one. But the player that really kind of prompted me to do this video, no, I'm not going to do a steal the draft video yet on Malachi Branham. He's only on a really huge 2-game streak, but if he turns that into 4 games, has 2 more games of 20 plus points per game and just shoots lights out, we might have to take a deeper look, or we might have to, what did I say? Deep a little digger instead of dig a little deeper in my last video. I didn't catch that. You guys did, so prompts to you. Well, let's talk about Malachi Branham. One, he's been able to stay healthy. And when I think health, that is such a major important part of developing young player. Romeo Langford finally started showing us something this year, and he's hurt again. That's the one thing I said about Romeo from the start of the season. He's got to prove to the Spurs, and more importantly, the NBA, he can stay healthy, and he's out again. Anyway, with the injuries to Romeo Langford, who had been starting, and then our previous shooting guard in Devin Vassell, Malachi Branham is really taking advantage of this time to shine, if you will, time to show what he's got. And he's been shining a lot as of recent. He's been just on fire. Doing a scouting report on him, it was written that he was a 3-level scorer, and he's been struggling with his 3-point shot this year. As they say in the article, he hasn't quite adjusted to the NBA's 3-point line. But as of late, he has exploded. In case you didn't know, he's a combined for 48 points in the last 2 games. That's the most points by a Spurs rookie in a 2-game span since Tim Duncan had 56 in 1998. And I'm guessing the previous mark would probably be David Robinson. The biggest difference between Robinson, Duncan, and Malachi Branham is, well, one, Branham's not a number 1 pick overall. He's also a 19-year-old teenager. Robinson was 24 as a rookie, and Timmy, was he 22? Correct me if I'm wrong, Spurs fans, but he started with the Spurs when he was 22. He was at least 21, I think. Early 20s. For what Malachi Branham's doing, it's just, what is the ceiling? And then they talk about some missed draft picks, JP and the Sandwich Master. I don't want to think about that. With Malachi Branham, the growth I've seen this year, number 22 right there, I like Devin Vassell. And Devin Vassell likely still our starting point guard for the foreseeable future. With Devin, I saw growth from year 1 to year 2, from year 2 to year 3 offensively, being able to create his own shots, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But I'm seeing a lot of that in Malachi Branham just this season. We've seen his confidence grow throughout the year. Earlier in this season, he was deferring. He'd be there standing open, whether it was a 3 pointer or a 2 pointer. I don't want the ball. He's just passing it off. Doesn't want anything to do with it. He's now taking the shots when they're there. He's showing an incredible ability to create his own shot. And you want to have a long career in the NBA? Be able to create your own shot, and more importantly, make it, which he's been doing as of late. His defensive has improved throughout the season. Yeah, he's not a stellar defender, but maybe he will be someday. You never know. He's been running the point guard, which is clearly not that running the point, which is not what I thought he'd be doing at any point, but because of injuries, that's what he's done at times. What is his ceiling, Spurs fans? When we drafted Brandon, I was like, all right, he'll give us some scoring off the bench. Then maybe he'll give us 10, 12 points per game. But and I know it's just a small sample size as of late, and I don't want to get too hyped up, but man, he's been shooting lights out. I think he's shooting like 59 or 60%, or it's a really high percentage the last 2 games. What is his ceiling? Could he be another player that could go off for 20 any given night, which would give us the Fantastic Four Spurs fans? Kelvin Johnson, Devin Vassell, Jeremy Sohan, and Malachi Branham. Any one of those guys could go off for 20 or more a night. Now, the big thing for the Spurs to be a winning franchise again is not that any one of those guys can go off on 20 a night, but those guys combined can consistently go for 15 to 20 a night. And if that can happen with this team, we really are one player away. I mean, I know we're losing a ton right now. The Spurs just lost their 8th game in a row. It's rough right now, but there's a lot to be excited about. We just got to get power through this season and make it to the end. So, last couple things as little updates on the channel and Spurs, what's not. Doing videos like this is a lot of fun. I like looking at the positive side of our San Antonio Spurs, the way the draft picks are developing. There's not a lot of positives to talk about right now with the team losing so much. I don't want to talk about former players throwing shade towards the Spurs. I don't care about that. I don't want to talk about it. It's just negative nonsense, and I just, whatever. Also, I'm a little burned out in the trade rumors. I don't know how many times I can talk about Jakob Poeltl being traded, and I'm just done there. Russell Westbrook, or apparently there's rumor with Kyrie Irving, just a little something out there. Until a trade happens at this point, or it looks like there's seriously going to be a trade that happens, I just don't want to address it because you can only talk about Doug McDermott, Josh Richardson, and Jakob Poeltl getting traded so many times. I'm just like, I have nothing to cover on the subject anymore. We've beaten it to death as a channel, you and I. I mentioned in my last video taking a break from live streams because of time constraints and interest in the Spurs is low. I don't do this for views, but every video I put up, I want to get views, and I don't want to put a massive amount of time in something if it's declining, if that makes any sense. That being said, couldn't help but notice on the Spurs schedule, February 11th, San Antonio Spurs are playing the Atlanta Hawks. That'll be the Spurs' first game against DeJounte Murray. I believe he's healthy, and as long as he's playing, I will definitely be going live for that game. I want to watch that game. I want to get your thoughts in the comments on what you're thinking of DJ's play in Atlanta, seeing him against him against his former team. And it's an early game, 7:30, which means I can still do my plans with my friends Saturday night when the game ends around 9:50, 9:55, 10 o'clock, whatever. And it'd be cool to catch up with you guys. So I'm looking forward to going live again. I'll probably watch the other Spurs games this week, half of the games, most of the games, depending on my schedule. I just won't be able to go live because just time constraints. I don't have the time. And last but not least, I will not put any more of the gaming stuff up on this channel. It is a little risque. I don't know. You guys clearly aren't interested except for a small handful. You've already subscribed to the channel more than likely, so I'll just keep the stuff over there. But I am having a blast doing that too. Granted, I only have 12 subscribers. Very, very, very few as I the videos, but doing characters on that and just doing something that I enjoy gaming has been a lot of fun. But it's been fun too, talking about our Spurs again and not forcing content like I used to. I mean, if I was one of those people, I'm like, you gotta do a video every day, gotta do every day or every other day. Da, da. Now I'm just like, when I want to talk about something or something I'm passionate about or seeing something like this that was on my mind. Sorry about the light in here today. It's kind of crap. Yeah, my camera's got light hitting it now. We'll do this. Let's hold my hand here so I'm not all washed out. Stuff like this is a lot of fun. Thinking positive about the Spurs, that good things are coming. Yes, we have to wait. Maybe not happen next year, but we're getting right now. I think we're drafting third based on the standings, so we have a legit shot at Victor, which does scare me because of the injury history, or Scoot Henderson. And man, if we get one of the top 2 picks, it's going to be fun times next year as a San Antonio Spurs fan. It's been fun the 4 years I've been doing the Spurs. It's been a lot of losing and some draft busts too. Lucas Salmonich, Joshua Primo might not be technically considered a bust, but he's not on the team. And I will say this: as hyped as he was, I didn't see the development in year one and a little bit of year two that I've seen already in Malachi Branham and Jeremy Sohan. And hopefully, we'll be doing a video soon on how great Blake Wesley's been developing. That's all I got, my friends. Thank you for tuning in. And as always, go Spurs, go!